Greetings all. On today's video, I'd like to delve into software, specifically the Eventide Blackhole Reverb plugin. It's not brand new, but it is pretty cool, and I think it's worth any ambient musician's consideration if you're a recording musician. So what I'd like to do is just take a look at the features, play a few of the sounds, and let's check it out. So first up, what I'd like to do is just play you my unaffected guitar sound. Okay, so it's just my typical Fender kind of sound, and this time I've got just a little bit of crunch in there. All right, so let's start checking out the black hole. So one thing you'll notice is it does have input and output levels, so that's nice. You can adjust them as needed to make sure your gain staging is where it should be. In addition, let me move some controls around here. We've got a mix control, so pretty straightforward. 0 is all dry, 100 is all wet. So what I'd like to do now is just play you kind of this default setting and give you a feel for what the plugin can sound like. Here we go. All right, really a nice sound, and that's even before we really kind of tweak it. So let's go through the controls and see how to tweak it. First up is the gravity control, and you can think of this as a reverb decay time. It's got a few differences though. One is you can do forward and reverse. So if you turn it to the left and get into negative numbers, it's actually reverse decays, or reverse reverb, I guess you would say. Okay, the other thing I note is I sense that there's a little change in character as you increase either positively or negatively the amount of gravity. So let's see what happens here. Let's move it up to about 47 gravity. This will be the forward decay. Yeah, pretty good size kind of decay there. Let's move it all the way up and see what we have. So you can hear that there's quite a bit more decay going on in the forward decay position. So let's move gravity into the negative numbers and see what we get. Here's a little bit of negative gravity. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Now let's move it down, let's say about halfway here. Check this out. It's almost like a pre-delay, which we'll get to in a minute, but there's a little bit more of a pause, I guess, or a delay before you actually get the backwards swell. Let's move it all the way down. So that the swell coming in when you've got gravity in the full negative position is much more pronounced. It actually builds up faster than in a kind of the lower negative numbers. So the gravity knob's really interesting. It behaves very differently whether it's in the positive or negative range. Next up is the size. So this will be kind of like the size of the room, if you will. So let's move it down to like 3, which is pretty small, and check this out. Okay, so sounds pretty small. Let's make it really big. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. If we move the gravity all the way up, you're going to see or hear that it's almost like an infinite reverb. There we go. Yeah, it's pretty nice, isn't it? And oh, by the way, you can't see it on the screen, but I am using a volume pedal for those volume swells. Okay, let's do a negative gravity with a very large size. Yeah, that's pretty cool too. All right, so let's kind of go back to some default settings here, and let's check out the pre-delay. So here is the default setting that I had, with no pre-delay. So the reverb decay starts immediately. So let's set pre-delay to about 46 milliseconds and check out the difference. You can hear there is a little bit of delay before the reverb begins to kind of swell in and bloom. Let's raise that to about 182. So you can hear that's much more pronounced. Let's check it out at 788 milliseconds. Yeah, pretty cool. And this pre-delay goes all the way up to, wait for it, 2,000 milliseconds, 2 full seconds. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You can almost use that kind of as a, if you want to delay it by 2 seconds, you could create almost like a harmony delay kind of thing if you're playing in tempo. Kind of cool. Next up are the tone controls. So we've got low and high. Let me bring the mix all the way up so you can just hear what happens to the reverb when I adjust them. Here's the current setting. Lows all the way down. Lows all the way up. Yeah, quite a bit of range there in tonality, isn't it? And let's check out the highs. Highs all the way down. Kind of mellow. Highs all the way up. Pretty sharp. Okay, so you've got a lot of possibilities there with your EQ. All right, so those are basic settings on the top row, and then the second row of knobs is kind of all about modulation. So you can modulate the reverb. Again, let me just play you where we are now. Actually, I'm going to leave the mix all the way up, so we'll focus on the reverb itself. Okay, let's go ahead and bring up some modulation depth and some rate and see what happens. Okay, nice. Let's bring up the depth more, rate a little bit. Nice. Let me bring the mix down just a bit here. right, so there's a lot you can do with modulation. But wait, we're not done, because we can add feedback to our modulation to make it even fuller. So check this out. Here's what we have right now. All right, let me add some feedback in here. Oh yeah. So it just got a lot fuller, and finally we can add resonance in, which is a filter that kind of rides over everything. It kind of filters the modulation itself. So it's subtle, but it does you can kind of hear it doing a little wah 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 kind of thing as I play. Okay, so you can adjust that to kind of sculpt the tone of the modulation of the reverb itself. All right, so those are all of our major controls. Along the bottom, we've got a few kind of options that can help us with the settings. The first is this little ribbon dealio here. I don't have it active right now, but it can be programmed to essentially move multiple knobs at the same time. So that's kind of cool. I confess I don't use it very often. If I want to move knobs in the middle of a recording, I generally just automate them. But if you want to move multiple knobs together, you could potentially make use of the ribbon. All right, the next option, the button here at the bottom called Kill, basically instantly removes your dry signal. Let me show you. Well, let me bring in some dry signal. All right. Okay, and I killed it, and now it's killed. Okay, so that's all that does. Hot switch is kind of cool. This allows you to program a preset and then switch that preset on and off. So take a look at all the knobs now, and here's the current sound. Okay, let me hit the hot switch. Oh, everything switched. So that's kind of cool. Again, you can automate the hot switch and turn it off and on. And in the middle of a track, you can kind of instantly have two different settings for the plugin. So that's kind of cool. And then finally, the freeze just takes whatever the reverb is doing and just plays it back infinitely. So let me show you here. All right, so kind of cool. You can, and you probably heard that when freeze is on, the dry signal is from that point on unaffected until you turn freeze off. All right, that's a quick look at the Eventide Blackhole. I find myself using it quite a bit in my ambient guitar-related recordings. And so if you have never checked this one out, definitely recommend checking it out and seeing if it might be right for you. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel. I've got ambient guitar-related content coming every week, and I would love to have you on board. Also, I've got Chords of Orion music available for listening and download. And as always, I'll see all of you on the next video.